just give you a little update here on the status of the fence. I've got the first coat of wood stain on now. This is the red cedar. I've got to say I'm very, very pleased with it. I did have to remove the original green colour on there with the jet washer, and that was quite hard work. It took a long while and I got wet. But that's the first coat, and it has dried a little bit patchy, but the second coat on top of that I'm sure will bring it up nicely. Notice on the corner here there's markings on the posts. I'm glad to say that is masking tape on there, so that will come off nice and clean. Below I've protected the gravel boards with newspaper. I've lifted them slightly, put some blocks underneath. I was thinking of removing the fence panels, but it's a bit of a pain, so I thought I'd do it in situ. And the other job I've done is actually jet washed the block pavers. They've come up quite nice, so I'll give them more time to dry out, then I'll resand them. Hopefully do that today, but at the moment I can just feel a bit of damp in the air. I think we're going to have a little fine shower. Hopefully it's not going to be much and I can carry on a bit later. I'm back on the allotment again. I've had 2 or 3 days off. Bit of leisure time, but most of the time I'm working in the garden. As you can see there, the potatoes have started flopping over, so I think they'll be ready for harvesting soon. Those are the shallots. But I had a quick look this morning. There's 1 or 2 things need cropping, so I'll take it along and we'll have a look what we got. Sunflowers have just started opening. These kohlrabi have gone over bigger than I actually wanted to. I was going to do these the weekend, but I was out and about, and it's amazing how these have grown in a couple of days. So the first job is going to be to remove these. The plan for today was to have half a day on the allotment and carry on with the garden, but so the rain's starting to come down a bit more heavier now, so I think we're going to have an unplanned showers, which really could have done with there, but you have to put up with what you get. There is quite a lot of leaf on here, and I assume the MuddyBootz. Be interested to know if anybody has actually eaten the leaves from the kohlrabi and what they taste like. These won't go to waste. I'll be chopping these up and they'll be going into the worm bin. With the kohlrabi out of the way now, I can actually see a bit better into the brassica cage. And right in front of me is this nice big head of broccoli. Put my hand there to give you an idea of the size. This is the Iron Man variety, one I grow every year, a really good cropper. So if we can cut it with the secateurs, normally I use my little knife. That's come off nice and easy. As you can see, that's a decent size. And I've just spotted another one over the back, not quite as big. So this is the quick harvest. There's the 5 red kohlrabi. There's 5 green kohlrabi. And here's the 2 Calabrese, the Iron Man that I've just harvested. Another little job that I can do while it's raining is to thin the grapes out. Now again, this is a job way overdue. There's a lot of wasted energy gone into the bunches that I'm going to have to remove, but better late than never. I must remember this year to take care and not cut the leader out of this rod because along the top. Well, that's what I've removed so far. There's quite a lot there, and I'm just working my way along this top rod. So it is a hard job to do when you can see the grapes growing, but it does actually benefit from them. The other thing to do is it helps get air flow through, and you will get some rot if you've got still air in the middle as well. Hello folks, and we're back on the allotment again after what seems like an age really. I've been doing quite a lot of work in the back garden, so the allotment has took a little bit of a back seat. But here in the UK, we've been encountering some really warm weather, unusual for us anyway, and it's been quite unbearable during the midday and that. So early morning, late evening is the time that I've been doing some work. Well, I'm out here now before the sun comes up. I just want to show you this little thing that I've done, nothing special. In fact, I hacked it out on the allotment here. It's just a piece of CLS timber. What I've done, I've sawn some slots in each end and actually chopped them out with a screwdriver. And the reason I've put that for at night time, it's very, very close. The temperature is, there's no wind at all. So with an Autovent, if this should close, what I've done, pop this in place here, lift it up, slot it in, and that there only allows the window to open that much, so I know for definitely there's going to be some air flowing through. I'll put the slots in different positions so we can change it round, and that's opened already. But if I wanted to get to maximum height, put it that way, on there, and there it is. So it doesn't harm the piston in the Autovent at all, but it does maintain the gap in the window. So if the temperature does drop, all it'll do, the piston will shrink but the window will stay open. So that's something you might find useful for your greenhouse, to get a bit of airflow through it during the night. And while we're in the greenhouse now, as you can see, lots and lots of fruits starting to form on the tomatoes and cucumbers. We've had a few off there, but as I've just mentioned before about airflow, I think now it's about time for me. Personal preference is to remove the foliage on the tomatoes at least up to the first truss, and that will say increase the airflow and stop any or reduce risk of any botrytis or anything like that. So I've thinned the foliage out now, and that looks a lot better. Bit more airflow, and it's also let a lot more light in. But the other thing it reveals is any issues with the plant. I'll just spin you around here. Now this is a crimson crush plant, and if you can look carefully on there, you can see the signs of blossom end rot, and that's hit quite a few trusses. I've taken one off there, just see it there. So what I'm going to do is remove all the trusses that is visible. There's still flowers still left at the top, and I'll actually see how they perform. But first sign, I'll be chopping them off. Another job which is weeks behind schedule is to thin the parsnips out. So I'm going to get these done now. So we're back in the garden again. We've hit a little bit of a stumbling block really, because all of the fence panels have been treated, and the only three remaining are these ones here, what's left here. And what's holding me up there is them in front of the flower border. Now most of the flowers have started to go over now. In fact, they've been neglected this year. But there's quite a few of these actually I want to get rid of, and some are in the wrong place. So I've made the decision, I'm going to chop them down, take them out with a big root ball, put them in big pots, and then repot them up. So hopefully we'll get a good show next season. And in the meantime then, we can finish off these last three panels. This plant here is called a ligularia. They like nice, damp, shady, ideal for around a pond. And I've chopped this down, I'll put it in a bucket, fill it with water actually, and it'll look after itself till next year, or till at least we plant it again. Well, I'm halfway along the border, folks. Just having a few minutes rest. Surprisingly, all the plants what was in this border. I've only kept two. There's a blue delphinium and there's a little plant called the powderphilium. All the rest I've got rid of or donated. The big ligularia has actually gone. One of the guys over the allotment has had it. And looking at what's left, I probably won't be keeping many more. There's a couple of poppies, irises, and there's this peony behind me that I'll be keeping that. But I've got other plants to go in here. I've got a couple of roses. And what I want to do is put dot plants around, particularly the alliums. So I have to pick some of them up in the autumn. Right, I'm going to crack on with this, and then I can think about getting the fence prepared, ready for another couple of coats of primer. This here is a root off a pyracantha that was in probably 25-30 years ago, and the reason I cut it off at ground level, I just found out it's still here, so I'm going to try my best now to get it out while the border's clear. I've been digging for a good half an hour plus. The only thing what's left now is this taproot. Don't know if it will show it. There's, I'll put my hand at the bottom. That's how big it is. Push it right back there. I've dug all the way around, and I just can't get it to move. I've tried sawing, that's no good. So last resort I'm going to try my mattock and try and hack it out. So with plenty of brute force and ignorance, I finally got it out. This here was the root which was on the surface of the ground, and this was actually underneath the soil. Took a lot of doing it, and it's managed to just snapping the taproots off, but finding where they are, using a bit of leverage. Anyway, I'm glad that's out now. We can crack on with the rest of the border. Well, that's the job. I'm glad to see the back off. I've managed to clear the length of the border right the way along, just enough to get in there so I can mask the fence and boards and then get a couple of coats of wood stain on. Once that's complete, I'll be back out onto the allotment, catching up with a few jobs. And the first one is to continue with thinning out the parsnips. I'm about halfway through that, so that shouldn't take too long. Another job I want to do sooner is get some potatoes, some second cropping planted, and hopefully we'll get a Christmas harvest this time. But before I go, I'd like to say welcome to a lot of the new subscribers that I've had just recently, and most of these are down to a couple of shout outs from the big guns. There's Dan at Allotment Diaries and Tony O'Neill at Simplified Gardening. Both of those have featured my channel, and quite a few others on theirs give us a shout out, and a few of their subscribers actually popped over and signed up. So thank you very much and welcome. I hope to see you in some future videos. So that's about it from this one. I'm going to enjoy this well-earned drink, and once that's done I'll start clearing up. So until next time, see you. All the best. Bye for now.